Okay, so I got my hands on some old books. This one has information about a lot of stuff in electricity. It has like little diagrams of things. This one's from 1934. So the information might not be as complete as modern information. Here's a dry cell battery, insides of it, what it's made out of. But I thought I would look at older educative material because I feel like it's less filtered. I feel like modern education is a lot more filtered. But you know, I don't know a lot about this type of stuff because I'm an artist and I spent most of my time just creating art, and because of that I exercise my observation skills a lot. So I'm looking at spaces and relationships between how different stuff acts and exists, and I notice some patterns regarding space, and I want to see how that translates into other subjects. So I'm looking at basic experiments that I can reproduce to kind of recreate or harness or get closer to observing what's actually happening, rather than instead of just accepting someone else's interpretation about it. So this is a lighting jar or a Leyden jar, and it collects charge in insulator or dielectric, and there's a conductive material on the outside and inside. And you know, I've just been reading and learning about what all that is, and so that I could actually make it and test it. And that, so you generate electricity or static electricity by rubbing PVC pipe with some material, and then it goes into the metal, and if I keep doing it, it charges it up, and it collects the electrons or whatever on the plastic, and they basically tell you all these different things, why it works and things like that. So I have my own theories. So if I connect them together, the inside and the outside, it'll create a spark. And so that just allows me to actually test it and see how it works. I first started with a glass jar with this strip on, but it didn't work, and there was metal inside and wire, and I basically did the same thing as this, but it didn't work. So I was trying to figure out why it didn't work. I was wondering if the ratio between the insulator and the metal, if the difference between that was too great. Like, it's just a small strip on a large piece of glass, so maybe that was the reason why it didn't work. Maybe the thickness of the glass. I had the aluminum folded, so maybe the way it's folded, maybe the edges to it, who knows. But there's just so many different things that I was wondering about, right? But since the way they teach stuff, they teach you what works, they don't teach you what doesn't work. Like, they leave out the information that might be necessary for understanding something. They say that they use glass and metal, but it didn't work. So some other information that I found while trying to figure out why it didn't work is that glass is made differently these days, and most of the glass that you find these days has like specific chemicals put into the glass so that it melts easier or more easily, and because of that, it's more soluble, or it's slightly soluble to water or something like that, and I guess that makes it more difficult to collect a charge. I don't know. I don't understand it, but that might be why it doesn't work. Another thing I could try and test is putting more foil paper on the outside and inside to cover more of it up, and maybe that might improve it. I don't know. So there's some stuff I could still test out with that to see if it actually works or not. But in this case, I was able to reproduce it, collecting a charge. And because of that, I wanted to make it simpler. So I just have this plastic, just piece of plastic, and then metal on the inside, metal on the outside. And I use rubber bands to press it against the plastic, and this wire to kind of press it on the other side of the plastic, because they need to be like up against the plastic so that the electrons do something to the plastic. I say do something because I don't totally agree with their explanation, even the modern way of explaining it. I have my own theories about it. So, I mean, I don't deny what it does, what's actually happened. I just have a different way of interpreting it. So, in this case, if I charge it, it will also work just like the other one. But it won't be as strong because there's less, I felt a little tiny spark. And the size of the plates are smaller. And yeah, there's less dielectric and things like that. So anyways, I'm just trying to understand you know, how to work with it, basically. Oops.